Well, I just want to say welcome to Dale Booker and Miss Wanda Gilbert, both who are with the Masala Giving Circle. And I was so impressed by the work that they do with the community and how they really impact lives. I wanted other people to hear. And so I have a few questions that prepared for both of them. And let's just get started. So, Miss Dale, why don't you tell us how has the vision for Masala Giving Circle evolved since its inception, and what do you see as its most critical strategic priorities over the next 5 years?
Why, certainly. So, just a very quick background. Masala was established in 2013 by our founder, Sheila Baines, who is the late Sheila Baines now. But it was seven people sitting around a table, and the concept is that a giving circle it really pulls on the passion for giving, and it pools the resources of individuals so that the impact can be much greater than they could do it on their own. The vision for our organization was to enhance culturally thriving communities through promoting personal and economic empowerment and in the communities. And there are three basic components of our giving circle. One, our members make a contribution to the Giving Circle, which we use for grants, and annually we give grants to organizations in the community. We've given as much as 75,000 in a year, and all of this money is only raised by the donations, the contributions of our membership. We are at about a little over 100 members now. The second component is our members pay an administrative fee, and we use that money for gifts beyond our grants or other philanthropic efforts, which Wanda is going to speak about as our program director. And then I think the last thrust is when we identify philanthropic initiatives or needs in the community, our members come forward with great passion and generosity and donate in incremental funds. Or if there's an initiative where we're raising, items, and again, Wanda will talk about that, they will donate those items. And so those are really the three thrusts of our organization. And our really key priorities just go back to that vision of promoting economic and personal empowerment to underserved communities. And for us, that really means African American communities.
Excellent. Thank you so much for that. Okay, Ms. Gilbert, can you tell us what are the guiding principles that shape how you identify, select, and partner with grantees and initiatives?
Well, I'll just say it's simple. I look at it from our historical base where we come from. And we know that especially as Dale has talked about with our membership, we are very fortunate and we've had a chance to do well in life, and we understand our commitment to the less fortunate. And we have a responsibility, in as we have all worked our careers and moved on to retirement, but we thought it was not robbery to stand in the gap for our community here. And we wanted, for me, I wanted to be performative. I wanted, it's intentional. And also too, we have to do what we need to do just to make sure and to ensure that those communities, us as a whole, understand that in light of what's going on in this world, they matter. We have a responsibility, and we've been here before, we've seen this before, and we're here.
Excellent, excellent. Back to you, Ms. Booker. What core values guide your leadership and decision making when evaluating which causes or organizations to support them? There's such a big need. So what are your criteria?
Sure. So we open for grant applications once a year. And, we want our applications to be as simple as possible because we want to really get to those grassroots organizations that are trying to make an impact on the community and not those that are getting funding or funding from, large state or federal organizations. And so we have some objective criteria. One, we want to make sure that it's a 501c3 organization, charitable organization. Two, we want to make sure that the initiative that they're working on or asking for a grant for has clear goals, concrete objectives, and that those objectives are measurable. So if we're going to give away the money that our membership is raising, we want to make sure that that money is going for the cause and that it is making an impact in the community. And I guess lastly, we want to make sure that the organization is meeting the needs of the African American community and that it can be tracked back to that target audience, so that we know, that the money is being spent there. And importantly, all of our decisions are made by the membership. So we're part of an executive committee, but our membership, they're the ones that are involved and saying yes or no in terms of those applications. Our grants committee will make back recommendations, but the membership is very involved. And it just makes for a very healthy organization that members want to continue to support.
Excellent. An excellent lead into our very next question. You talked about impact. Well, Wanda, how does the circle currently measure the impact of its giving, and what kinds of success stories or data resonate most with all those members that Dale told us about that have to say yes?
That's the best part of me, and I'm fortunate enough that they have me as the program director, because one of the major components, which is really dear to my heart, is the humanitarianness of our women. And it is nothing that we ask for that they don't, besides the get donation, the minimum donation we give or more, and also the administrative fee. When we say reach in your pocket, it's like, what else do you need? I.e., when the hurricane hit Fort Myers, which is not in our at the time was not in our jurisdiction, our membership realized that our community down there was not being served. Made contact with the church, a minister that was trying to do whatever she can, went down there with supplies, Halloween, hot dogs, hamburgers, computer, we bought a printer that they needed because she was by herself trying to show movies and keep the community together. And what we did, even with our giving, which is August, which is Black Philanthropy Month, and I just want to highlight that. Also in Christmas, we do a Christmas party or event, and we choose an agency or something someone in the community and make them that's who we provide Christmas gifts to. When I tell you, this church, like, she had 80 kids. Our members chose one kid, whatever they wanted, if it was the Nintendo or whatever they need. Our members chose one kid, bought exactly what they wanted, and we also bought white, the polo shirts that they needed for school uniforms. We also got school uniforms, and some even got donations in between. So that was like the highlight. They just, whatever it was, when we see a need, they go down and meet that need. But my heartstring is the Souls for Little Souls, which we joint venture with Church Women United. And those shoes, that one of the things that we know, once we found out that some kids were missing school because they didn't have any shoes. And most of the time when you're living your life, you go like, they don't have any shoes. And once we joint venture with them, and just to see, and this is separate and above, they know come August, we have members buying 20 pair of shoes, 17 pair of shoes, no matter what, and even ask, do we need more? And this year, when we did our program, the pictures that you saw, we actually touched 391 children that actually came. They had to be there. And that's the highlight for me. Because if you don't have shoes to go to school, and we know that education is the component to juxtapose you to the future, that's the heartstring.
Right. And I intentionally haven't mentioned your geographic location, because some people could think you're talking about in a developing country, somewhere in Africa or Latin America. But just for a second, can you share, Dale, exactly where you are so we can know where students are still in this day and time not able to go to school because they don't have shoes? And also, I have your question coming right behind that. Can you share a moment or outcome that to you best exemplifies the impact that Masala Giving Circle strives to make? Okay, I tried to get it all in.
Absolutely. So we are located primarily in Sarasota. And our served areas are in counties, the Sarasota County, in Manatee County, which is right next to us, DeSoto and Charlotte. And so we are helping people right in some communities that, quite honestly, are very wealthy. And you have children that don't have shoes, you have children that don't have books, you have children that might not have clothes to go to school. So organizations, or I guess as Wanda said, the humanitarian, piece of it to help and to see, where our money is going, and to you asked for a moment that like reflected how we feel about our giving. And I'll piggyback on what Wanda said. When the Hurricane Milton hit and we organized in, 24 hours and got them help, one moment that really touched my heart was after all that help, people wound up donating, the people that we were helping, the members of the church wound up donating to Masala because the help that we had given them had moved them so much. And for the membership, that was just a moment that you couldn't match. And the second is, as Wanda said, with the shoes, we are there, we're seeing these kids and it's like they're in, Macy's or Bloomingdale's buying shoes. And some of them will pose questions like, well, these are brand new. Can I keep these? And it just touches your heart to be able to see the impact. And our members are there, and they're the ones that are giving out the shoes and seeing the smiling faces of not just the children, but the parents.
Yes, yes. How Christmas in September? Is it September that they get the shoes, or when do they?
August.
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 Christmas in August. Okay, Wanda, back to you. In your view, what operational or structural challenges most limit Masala's ability to scale or sustain its wonderful programming?
Well, I don't see, as long as we have the women that we have, I think our membership and our true commitment and understanding just historically, we all, even though we all, believe it or not, we all come from all around the country. Dale is from New Jersey, you're in New Jersey, and then you're Miami, I'm Miami, or whatever. But we all, for some reason, we've concentrated on this one area, and we have the same common vision. We have the same common compassion. We have the same stories, because no matter where we came from, we all know what it is not to have. And that's why it's so important to wherever like now our status in life, we have an obligation to give back. we have an obligation to be agape. I call it have that agape love for our community.
Okay. Thank you for that, our obligation. So,
Mhm.
President Dale, where do you see the greatest opportunities and challenges for deepening the circle's influence in underserved communities? That's your primary target market.
Mhm. The opportunity and challenge is really attracting and growing our membership, because the bigger our membership, the bigger our grant fund is. And so we want to make sure that we are um, creating an environment where we can attract members, and they feel that we are, really meeting the needs of the community, because that really keeps them engaged and helps them, to want to give even more.
So, and this is unscripted, so I'm going to ask the question, since you're looking for members to help, is there some geographic location requirement for the members? Do they have to be in a specific area? Just so someone watching this will know.
So our giving circle, really, we're getting members that are living in the Sarasota and surrounding communities, keeping them engaged. We meet monthly on the third Wednesday of every month. And while not all 100 members attend our meetings, many of them do. We also meet by Zoom, but in order to keep the members engaged, they're giving, but there's also a social component in terms of um, meeting with each other. We'll have happy hours, or we'll have a lunch, before or after a philanthropic effort. And I think that really keeps them engaged. So this giving circle really serves the Sarasota and a couple of surrounding communities.
Excellent, excellent example, leading by example. So, back to you, Wanda. What unmet needs have you observed, either from community partners or within the circle, that you feel require more attention or more resources?
Well, when we give out shoes, initially when we started, we were just giving out shoes. Now we've added socks,
Mm,
because and each kid get 2 pairs of socks. And eventually, so one of the other things that the need is, I was thinking, and eventually, if asked, I know the membership will. All it needs to be is an ask. Is underwear. When I think about that, when we just think of just simple things that is needed, underwear, because even the giveaway that we had this year, some people came in, had 5 kids, 3, 4 kids, and then you look at them, and then also too, one of the things that we do, we're honed in and what's going on in this country.
mm-hmm.
That's why we know we need to get back to taking care of our own, and making sure, and just the simple needs need to be met. And one of the things I just wanted to piggyback on with Dale, when you asked about the membership, hopefully when this is broadcast, other people around the country to see it's just a simple thing that they can get in and just do a something, providing shoes or underwear or whatever it is. Hopefully it's a good paradigm for people to see that we have a responsibility, and is needed now more than anything. Now we really need to stand in the gap for the community.
Yes, and an excellent commentary on the need that's right there in the local community. Not necessarily that the needs far away are not valid needs, but we have needs right in the community, and that's an excellent point. Back to President Dale. Uh, Now, Wanda talked a little bit about other kinds of support needed. You started with shoes and now it's socks and then maybe even underwear. But what types of support beyond financial contributions do you believe would most help Masala Giving Circle expand its mission?
Good question. I think that getting the word out, and this is probably too big of a word, publicity and public relations, and because we want to stay grassroots, we want to make sure that we have the right level of publicity out there, because we don't want to attract, if you're giving away free money, you're going to attract everybody who's looking for money. And some of those people, organizations that are asking, they may not have, valid needs.
Right.
And so we want to make sure that the publicity and the PR that we get is at the right level, so that organizations, those grassroots organizations that really need it, will hear us talking to them, rather than organizations that, are professional fundraisers. We want to get to those organizations, and that's why we make our application very simple. It's grant writing is a skill. And some of these organizations, they're operating with very few people, and they're operating their programs, and they can't take time out to answer a complex grant application. So we want to make sure that we get the message out, but in a way that really will get to those organizations that are deserving of our hard-earned money.
Yes, excellent. And thank you for that. And you just mentioned programs and programming and the lack of resources by some of these community organizations to have such a good program director as in Wanda. So Wanda, why don't you tell us, how do you see the role of program director evolving as the circle grows and matures?
That the program director, I see with the membership growth, it has to be intentional. And hopefully one of the goals will, even though we know that the communities and whomever organizations, they put in for a grant every year, whereas at one point we can identify a sustainable program that will just be a signature program that automatically, my thinking is, a signature program that we automatically fund every year. So as membership grow, we can have funds just for this signature programs, i.e. STEM, starting from kindergarten all the way up. We know that that's moving to the future. AI and all of these things. And a lot of these kids do not have computers and all those things. In fact, one of the organizations that received the grant this year was the Bridge to Educational Excellent Learning Center, which it's called, the acronym is BEE. Previously, they used to be SOAR. And I think in 2023, the funds was cut, etc. But however, this one lady, Jacqueline Polk, decided that as long as she has breath in her body, and she dealt with 1st to 3rd grade, because she knew that they were critical years for our kids, she is sustaining that program. So with that program from 1st to 3rd grade, we know that's very critical. That's my vision as a program director of something that we automatically, this has not been discussed with the membership. You asked me what my vision was. Automatically, programs such as that and STEMs, after we know that we're getting them ready for the future, should be sustainable programs that we hone in on. That's my wish as a program director or whomever, as be a part of Masala Giving Circle.
Oh, wonderful. Okay, President Dale, we see that Wanda is very passionate and committed and engaged, but how do you get others to have that kind of engagement, like either the current or the perspectives, and sustaining the vitality of your mission and what you do for the community? I mean, unless you have all Wandas.
Wanda is contagious. Let's be clear about that, which is awesome, and she stays on it. But what we do is we we want to create a positive and enjoyable experience, a giving experience for our members. And that requires us to meet them where they are. So we have most of our members are retired, but we do have working members. We have some members that may not be as mobile, and so they may not be able to physically get out to our meetings. And so, for example, this year, we had a couple of members saying, I'd love to come to the meeting, but I just say I'm not that mobile. So we're alternating between Zoom and in-person meetings. The other thing, the happy hour. So members can come, and we'll have a meeting, and then we'll have social time after. So we want to make sure that the members feel engaged. Even if the level of engagement they need is, I only want to write a check and I don't want to do anything else, that's fine. If they want to have that social piece, then we'll give them that. So we want to meet members where they are to make sure that it's an enjoyable, being a member of the circle is an enjoyable experience for them.
Excellent, and it sounds like it's very inclusive. So back to Wanda, what forms of collaboration, whether with donors, institutions, or other nonprofits, would most amplify the effectiveness of the programming?
Like-minded with the same vision, such as Church Women United, which they're in line with the United Nations, Church Women United around the country, and they not only are involved in giving out shoes, they give out, in fact, one of the beautiful things about them, the school system here know that that's an organization that have shoes. They will get calls sometimes from principals around the schools saying, hey, I got a couple kids here with no shoes. They food or whatever their needs are. But one of the most telling thing is at our giveaway who had disabled, when she came in, she got for her son. She came back and she said, listen, I want to get involved. I just want to volunteer to do something. When that happened, instead of being on the giving end, she knew that she can give back. So we put her in line with the church and she does volunteer work there. So that's, I mean, those are the things that give you cheer. It's just the humanitarian of it all. It's just, it doesn't matter how small or how little, we can all do something, even if it's just sharing a word with someone. And one of the other things I want to say, which, and Dale can remember this part, and it's all aspect of the community. Even though we're African-American Black women, we reach out to everybody because we also donate to the food bank, which serves everybody. But this year at the giveaway, a couple people came in and brought in kids that their parents were deported. And the community had surrounded them. Yes, that's the impact. And what it shows you, the community took in these kids, their parents were deported. So those are the kind of things that really shake your heartstring. And those are the kind of things that even Dale and I talk about. We know we're doing the right thing.
Oh my goodness. I could listen to this all day long, but we don't have that. I'm down to my last question for each of you, but I am so enthused about the comment where this woman who came in and was empowered to say, I can also do something too. Boy, that is the power of the example. All right, last question, Dale. Looking ahead, What would the ideal future state of Masala Giving Circle look like? And what resources would be essential for the organization to get there?
I think it's, ensuring that we stay true to our vision, which is empowering the underserved in communities. We feel very strongly about that. And while we may need to evolve in terms of the um, organizations or causes that we support because of the current political and economic environment, the vision is really to empower the underserved, and we want to stay true to that. And the resources that we need is just to continue to grow and get that word out to, as Wanda said, like-minded women who know the power of giving, who have a passion for giving, and who want to continue to support our giving circle. Because as I said, we are 100% funded by our members, and we want members. They're in other organizations and they have other requirements and need to attend meetings and need to sell tables. You don't do that here. Our members support the organization, so growing our membership is really the what we need to continue to grow. And we're at 100, and I don't know what that number is. Maybe it's 200, maybe it's 300, but we want to make sure that we're not growing too large where we start impacting our ability to deliver to the community. But the more members we have, the more money that we can give to the community who really need it now, given the current political and economic environment.
Oh, wonderful. Wonderful. I'm going to come back to you with one last unscripted question, but let me ask Wanda this final question for her. If Masala Giving Circle had doubled the resources, not today, but tomorrow, what would you prioritize and first and why?
I would prioritizing using, if our funds double, education. And when I say education, I'm speaking broadly, not only educating for the students, but also with the parents, because those components, usually in organizations or whatever, we do one thing, we concentrate on the children, but we know that, after they leave us, they're going here. If we can come up with a catalyst that make sure that the parents understand that education is paramount, and we are here to stand in the gap for them, whatever funds it is, however, whatever it is, if we can just get them to understand their power, being there for them, and know that we're standing in the gap with the true relationship, that will be education, because education is what gives you vision, ideas, you can dream, and also too, just looking at us being in the community and looking at us women, it gives them possibilities.
Okay, impossibilities and dreaming. And now I can come back and ask that question. Dale, you said the way you grow financially is through your memberships. But say if a foundation or a corporation said, actually helping children whose parents have been deported is something we would like to help you with. Will you take those checks?
We will take those checks. As a matter of fact, I had a request last week from someone who learned about us, and they wanted to get the word out and just to share what we were doing. And as they did, there were several people in the audience who said, "We want to give, we want to help." And they can help. And what makes it very easy for us, and we didn't talk a lot about it, is we are part of the Community Foundation. Our 501c3 component is under the Community Foundation of Sarasota. So the contributions that go to our grants are sent to the Community Foundation of Sarasota. We have, if you donate money, you earmark those funds for Masala Giving Circle, so they can take donations from someone else. The beauty for us is we can focus on figuring out who to give grants to, and all of the financial filings and everything that has to be done for a charitable organization is done by the community foundation. So it does allow us to accept donations while we don't proactively ask for them. It does allow us to accept them. And it also allows us to stay out of the bookkeeping piece. And then the last benefit is they invest our money, and they have a lot of money because they're getting funds for a lot of their other programs. And so all of the money that we raise is invested in the market, and we also enjoy gains from that, which also make our funds available for grants greater. So this is just an ingenious way to give, which we credit to our founder, Sheila Baines, who brought that concept to Sarasota.
Okay, so this has been a wonderful story. And when I first heard it, I said, oh, we have got to get the word out, because even if you don't do it there, the point that was earlier made, you can do it in other communities. Someone else could be the next Sheila Banks in their community. Did I say her name right? Sheila Banks in their
Yes, you did.
community. And if they're not willing to be Sheila Banks, they could certainly work with your community foundation and give. Now, if someone wanted to give by just hearing this message, how would they contact, who would they contact so you don't miss out on that next check?
So we have a website,
Yes.
masalagivingcircle.org, which anyone can go to, and it has our contact information, and it has our Gmail address. In terms of donations, and it's also included in that once they go to the website. CFS .org is the community foundation where they would go to make the donations. But I would suggest going to masalagivingcircle.org, because it tells what we do. It'll tell you how to get in touch with us, or it'll tell you how to donate to us.
Okay, I have gotten all my words in. Do either one of you have any last words? We gotta let people know how to reach out to you. But do you have any last words, or otherwise we can end?
I
All
just
right.
want to thank you. It's exciting. You can tell we're very excited to talk about this,
Yes.
and as excited to do. But thank you so much for your interest, and
Oh,
some really, great questions that even got us to thinking about our vision as we move forward.
oh, okay.
I
Thank
would
you
just
both.
like to,
Oh, go ahead, Wanda.
I would just like to say thank you, and hopefully throughout this country, different communities will look at underserved communities and come up with an idea to do that, because we can do it, and it's not that hard.
Yes,
It's
and
it's just a purse.
yes.
To buying a purse, okay? So
I like to talk about the will. A lot of people talk about resources and finances, but it's the will. If you have the will, you can be a part of it and you can make that. And with that, I would say thank you. And thank you both for taking the time and sharing your experiences. All right, I'm cutting off.